Welcome back to part 2 of the Sentinels vs Guard LCQ breakdown video. If you didn't catch part 1, a card is on screen now so you can get caught up. That being said, let's get right into the second half. Sentinels start the attacker pistol round with a nice fake towards the B site. They throw the default Viper wall across the site, Sova scales up a bit with it, and then drone clears most of the site. This kept the Guard's A site players in more passive positions, as they're expecting to rotate over quickly, but the fake has done more than enough damage and the Sentinels walk up until they find contact with KO, but even here on A site this wall Dapper deploys almost costs them the round, due to very poor placement. It allowed Trent to silently climb up the rope and nearly get a double kill on Dapper and Zelsis, who at the time believed they were safe from left side of site. But miraculously, Trent couldn't get the finishing blow onto Dapper, and this allowed the Sentinels to brawl the remaining Guard members at a player advantage. Two nice shots come from Tens, who at this point has been struggling to find value with Chamber. Sentinels opt for the not so great default plant, but since it's a 3v1 on pistol, this factor doesn't end up mattering that much. SEN takes the pistol round. Guard knows exactly what Sentinels will be doing when they go B, so as knowledgeable players would, they prepared a slew of counter utility to delay their plant and punish this objectively cheap and tired strategy. Within seconds, Dapper gets destroyed by the Viper snakebite and pistol spam. Next up to fail on this B side execute is Shroud, who pretends the Brim Molly melting his health away doesn't matter. Shroud barely gets the spike down before going up in flames, so instead of the Sentinels executing a proper B site take with good smokes, trades, map control, and utilizing the better guns in their possession, they would rather sacrifice two whole players in a frantic attempt to plant the spike, just so they can hide in their comfort zone over on yellow and B main. Miraculously, they still end up winning the round due to this weapon advantage, but it's how embarrassingly difficult they made it that hurts to watch. The subpar smokes don't stop on the B site though, as on round 15, the first big round of the half, Shroud throws this bizarre toxic screen to cut the A site in half like this. Because of some great stalling thanks to the Guard's Viper and Brimstone mollies, the Sentinels were forced down to a 15-second window to plant, and it allowed Jonah P to make this incredible play. As Shroud, Zelsis, and Tens frantically sprint up to get the spike down, Jonah emerges from the Viper wall and uses his Phantom to demolish 4 Sentinel players in a 5-second window. Remember, this was the round that is typically won by the pistol round losers, but thanks to a lack of understanding of proper smokes on Icebox, it cost them big time. All Shroud had to do was throw the standard screen walls and Jonah P would have been spotted playing close left next to pipes. Round 16, the round where the Sentinels B-side Sage Wall plant almost cost them the game. Say a player starts the round far too pushed up and aggressive and gets spotted on top of Container by Shazam. Jonah P close by goes for the trade, which is never a good idea as a defender, as trades always favor the attackers. He quickly falls to Dapper and the Sentinels move up to site. Dapper puts up the wall facing Snowman and Shroud sneaks into this cubby. Now, I'm not sure what custom game shenanigans the gang got up to, but it feels too obvious that they're going to get utility spammed when going for the plant, so this KO fragment grenade takes Shroud down to half health. I also want to comment that this position that Shroud is holding is not site control. This spot essentially boils down to a "please don't check this corner" type angle and doesn't get Sentinels anything besides their best post-plant agent dead. Now, because of this kill and the Guard knowing how the Sentinels play B post-plant, they move up to defuse. But remember this weird Sage Wall? This actually allows Trent to defuse the spike. Trent came within half of a second of a full stick but was finally taken out by Shazam. It really just feels like we're in the Twilight Zone, where they're playing a completely different map, but nope, just good old Icebox being played in the most fundamentally broken way possible. Round 18 showcases the first of only 2 times the Sentinels utilized mid, and it wasn't flattering in the slightest. The round starts with a default, moves into a fake A site hit, and then transitions into a mid to B play. Except since the Sentinels don't have a versatile smoke agent like the Guard does, their only play moving into mid map is to rely on the Sage Wall as a cover. Now, any good Valorant player knows that there's a wind up time before Sage's barrier orb gains full durability, and Dapper just confirmed Trent's location on pallet. As expected, he breaks it immediately, and no attempt is made to fight Trent. Jonah P makes the brilliant decision to use Orbital Strike where the Sentinels have to run out to, and this catches Shroud with his pants down. And since they just walled mid, the Sentinels have no choice but to brute force B site at a man disadvantage. 2 more kills onto the Sentinels happen due to their lack of a valid smoke agent. Zelsis gets shot in the back of the head from kitchen as that wasn't smoked, and just after, Dapper gets opped by Seiya player because Snowman wasn't smoked. This is the quintessential problem with relying on Viper for sightline denial, and it's why I think Viper doesn't work on this map. This severely limits what the Sentinels can do as attackers and makes for boring, repetitive, predictable strategies. Sova gets the firing squad treatment on yellow and the round goes to guard. Round 19. Sentinels want the A site. The problem this time was the lack of substantial picks being made besides taking out Seiya player. It's pretty normal in Icebox to put up 3 players on A site, and the mini-map here proves this claim. Shroud puts the Viper pit down far too early without making any attempt to clear site first, which is currently littered with guard players. Trent uses Nightfall to cause some chaos and to get Sentinels off the plant. Guard then makes the brilliant team play to capitalize off the deafening effect applied to Nightfall's targets. This lets Jonah P casually sprint into the ult, take down Viper, take down KO, and secure enough damage to guarantee guard the round. Here's the repeating problem that attackers usually fall into on Icebox. Imagine doing a Sage Wall plant next to a Viper wall on a Sent A site. Well, if we were to look at a bird's eye view, there would be 2 to 3 people looking at whatever the attackers are doing, see them trying to get the bomb down, and then promptly punish such a goofy strategy by spamming them out with utility and bullets. Of course, that doesn't happen on a Sent, or any other map really. So why do attackers feel so afraid to take map control on Icebox? Why is this map so post-plant and then insta-retake oriented? There is no reason, and it's part of why we're documenting this bizarre phenomena into a digestible breakdown video. It's another easy round for the guard. With everything you've learned so far, I'm simply going to play the footage of round 21 for a moment, and let you form your own conclusions. Let's watch. Oh look, another unwinnable post plant for the Sentinels. 2 suicide attempts to get the bomb down, and the rest of the team is hiding in spawn. Jonah's fantastic orbital strike hard counters anyone playing behind yellow and easily takes down Zelsis. Some quick kills happen, and we have quite possibly the fastest retake yet, with over 15 seconds remaining on the spike. Alright, I'm going to call round 22 the redemption arc for Sentinels. The same Sage Wall comes in on the B side execute, except this time, Zelsis actually mans up for a change and pushes the actual bomb site, and lands a surprise kill on Jonah P with his molly out. Now with some proper smokes, Trent wouldn't have been able to take Dapper out because he wouldn't have been able to see him. Now look at the minimap, and look at the newfound control Sentinels have over the map, pushing 3 players towards Snowman. Now the way they played the post plant was kind of awful because they took 1v1s instead of playing contact or trades, such as this peek from Zelsis and Snowman. All that needed to happen here was for Tens to play closed box while Zelsis peeks off his contact hugging the kitchen wall. It would have been a guaranteed trade since Seiya player has an operator. Tens yet again overpeaks and gets himself killed by Trent, when he could have just hid and tucked Snowman. The defenders have so much more to worry about if they know there's someone behind them at all times, and the value from the anxiety this causes is so much more valuable than taking a dry 1v1 like Tens did. Regardless, there should have been another Sentinels member on site to take out Trent walking out of kitchen, as that's an easy choke point to hold. But because Sentinels took extra site control, this allowed Shazam to pull off a crazy 1v2 behind yellow by running down the clock. This alone kept them in the game for a few more rounds. On round 24, Zelsis yet again pulls off a great example of taking map control while his team lags behind. He sneaks through the Viper wall. Thankfully, nobody was watching the smoke. Zelsis lands a great kill onto Brimstone, who by this point is autopiling, getting ready to molly the plant. What's kind of hilarious is this smoke placed by Jonah. This is actually an attacker smoke and unintentionally helped Zelsis kill him off, as Trent couldn't see him from orange. But then they go right back to where they kept failing, and that's by playing way too safe. Zelsis instantaneously dies to the Brim Molly and Fade Seas simultaneously, while trying to run back to B main. What's weird is Zelsis wasn't in any real danger. He could have easily kept holding off the defenders while the rest of the Sentinels get the spike down, so it's bizarre to see him throw away this advantage. Soon after, the B-side Viper wall thrown by Shroud gets his team killed again. because Seiya player caught a glimpse of Dapper's shoulder through the smoke. Remember, if this were a proper snowman smoke, this operator kill would have never happened. Seiya gets another kill due to how short Viper's smoke lasts, catching Shroud running back to his hidey hole in B main. Thankfully, since TenZ is insane, he clutches out the 1v2 with some nice operator shots. We go into overtime. The first overtime features the guard back on the attacker side. It's weird to see so many B-side executes despite how often they fail between both teams, but I'd still say the guard does it better. Net drops his toxic screen to catch Dapper off guard backside and lands a nice pick. Although their brimstone smoke on top side actually got Net killed as it concealed Shazam's position. I don't exactly know what the smoke does for the guard other than complicate the execute. You'll then immediately notice that this should have been an easy trade for Valen, who's hugging the danger wall, but since the smoke is there, his vision is denied and the trade onto Shazam never occurs. Guard puts themselves in that same familiar post plant and Shroud goes insane with a 4K to close the first overtime in the Sentinels' favor. Nothing new besides the ticker counting the amount of times the strategy has failed, going up by 1. Round 26, we have another fresh example of Sentinels needing a versatile smoke agent to access anywhere on the map that isn't a direct sight path. A great slow walk into mid to start, and they were so quiet that they actually caught Jonah P on his iPad out in orange. Sentinels just gave themselves the golden opportunity to close out this match, but what do we have here? A Sage Wall cutting themselves off the bomb site? Where have we seen this before? And like we've seen an immeasurable amount of times this game, a goofy Sage Wall plant will be punished, and this time by Valen from B fence. TenZ panics and gets himself killed too. Now imagine all of this if a simple smoke was used, or if Dapper didn't cut his entire team off from accessing the bomb site. The guard cleans up the rest of the Sentinel members in mid and we go into second and last overtime. We're gonna go ahead and skip round 27 as the Sentinels were completely wiped out, taking it to the guard's match point. The Sentinels hit B again and decide to wall off the gap between the container and danger, which isn't as good as a snowman wall, but it's a start. They planted left side sight, which is already giving them an advantage, but they keep Shroud next to this tiny sliver of a wall, but barely concealing his gun barrel. Shroud catches Trent reloading out in the open and promptly punishes him, but not after a quick trade from Seiya player in kitchen. Net catches TenZ lurking mid and wins the duel. It's a 4v3 now in the guard's favor. Shazam overpeaks and gets himself killed for almost no reason. 4v2. Net gets the Viper pit down, and this forces Dapper and Zelsis to rush him or spam him out. Dapper walks right into Seiya player's trap, now a 1v4. Zelsis manages to kill Jonah P, but this wasn't who he was looking for. He whips out the classic and it appears his team wasn't pinging the correct part of the spike, so Net quickly punishes Zelsis' attempts and falls. The guard gets 2 in a row and win the series. It really feels like the Sentinels and also the guard occasionally did everything in their power to not go on the sites, not to walk 5 extra feet, put a couple good smokes, and play the bomb site like it works on every map in the game. If there's a takeaway from this, it's we as a community need to completely rethink the way we approach Icebox as a map, especially as attackers. I've been playing and watching this game for years now, and Icebox feels like the only map where people really go out of their way to not play it like the developers designed it to. Playing on the bomb sites during post plant, putting good controller utility to use, and focusing on map control are staples that should reverberate throughout the community, and this pro match between the guard and the Sentinels should be treated as a precautionary tale of what not to do in this otherwise fantastic map. This video took a while to make, so if you want to see more pro match breakdowns in the future, subscribe to Esports Driven to never miss out on premium quality content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.